What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. I get it a lot in the comment section. You guys ask me, James, how many hours do you spend out there working in the food forest to maintain that place? So that's what I want to do today. Bring you along on some of the daily investments we do to turn from grass to fruit mass. Let's go. As the years progress and the food forest changes, what I come out here and do daily also changes. But one thing that has never changed is how I come out here as often as I possibly can every day, just to connect, to see how everything's doing, and to observe. Observation is one of our best techniques as a gardener, as a permaculturist. And when we can develop a good eye for plants, we can communicate with them and learn what they need or what things they might be lacking just by taking a look. But from coming out here now, I can see something I need to get done is we have an area here with some weeds coming through. So I need to pull some of those weeds and get the wood chips down thicker. I also have some fruit that's dropping underneath this nectarine tree. Well, actually it's a peach tree. It was supposed to be a nectarine. And that fruit's dropping because the plum curculio, they laid some eggs in there. Now they've fallen to the ground. I gotta make sure I get rid of that fruit so the next life cycle of that curculio doesn't come through and go attack my trees again. So I'm just gonna pick some of these weeds down here. They're just annual weeds, not perennial. And when you have wood chips, it makes pulling weeds so easy, so much less work. The thick wood chip mulch, that's the secret. That's the key to growing big, healthy fruit with minimal amount of actual work. If I had these wood chips thicker, I wouldn't have the weeds. But let me just pull these out, which is nice and easy, just like that. Then I'll pick up this fruit, take it off the property, and we'll get some wood chips. So I got a lot of this fruit off the ground. There's not too many because I've been staying on top of collecting it. It's not all the fruit that the curculio went after, just some of them. Right here we've got a pear tree, a moonglow, and this one does real well. The curculio seems to stay away from these, I assume because it's a much thicker skin. So pears are one of our reliable ones. Underneath here we've got a number of strawberries. There's zucchini that came up. That's going to be growing underneath this fruit tree, almost as like a living mulch. Let me grab some of the wood chips though. We got a whole nother load. So I just got another load of wood chips. I think it's about 15 cubic yards. I mentioned to you guys that I get that for free. They'll deliver it, the town locally, which is so fortunate for me. This is triple ground wood chips, which means it's gone through the chipper 3 times, so it's smaller, breaks down quicker. I love this stuff. As you can see behind me, wood chips and the layering method, the back to eating method, this is what it'll get you. Huge fruit trees loaded with fruit. And I've never really even watered this stuff since I planted it. It's all about putting the right system in the first time, being consistent with it, trusting in it, and following nature. Because when it comes down to it, the further away you get from nature, the more work you're gonna have to do. That's just how it goes, basically. I've talked about it before, but even from an energy standpoint, thinking about that, 40 years of solar energy saved up in a tree. That's what we're putting on our ground when we put wood chips down. And I call a lot of this work daily maintenance because everything adds up, everything accumulates. It's not what we're gonna get done today, it's what we're gonna get done in a number of all these days added together. We'll drop tuck off on the wood chip pile, stay tuck, let them hang out and we'll start filling up. I know we talked about it before, but the idea of bringing this mulch in, we're holding in the moisture. That's one thing, but we're mainly bringing the life into the soil. That's what's gonna heal your soil. That's what's gonna take your food forest or your garden to the next level. Some of you will probably ask, it always is in the comments, can you use walnut wood chips? Can you use cedar wood chips? What wood chips are best? All wood chips will actually work. If you can get the needles and the leaves in it, that's even better. That's what's gonna feed the worms and the microorganisms right away, have that breaking down, because it's not the wood chips, it's not the leaves that are gonna feed your plant. It's actually the life in the soil that's gonna convert the organic matter into bioavailable nutrients for your plants. I believe success in the garden, or in anything, comes from following the fundamentals. And the fundamentals in my garden come from nature. I'm not saying you have to copy nature exactly, but the further you get away from it, the more work you will incur. You can put down chemical fertilizer if you want. You'll get a great harvest probably the first year, probably the second year and the third year. But every year you're salting your soil. By about the 5th or maybe up to the 10th year, your soil is gonna be salted, depleted, and that's because you've never given anything back. As opposed to an organic method like this, layering. Every year our soil is getting better. Every year more life, every year higher fertility. That's how I like it. Investments in these fundamentals, those are ones I think that'll truly pay dividends. Let's get these wood chips down. I heard someone say, it's not about doing extraordinary things. That's not what's gonna give you real success. It's about doing the ordinary things extraordinarily well. So let's do those fundamentals extraordinary and do those as best we can. just move these wood chips around this tree here. That's looking good. There's some more chips I can move over there, but now I'm gonna grab the pruners and cut back some of the trees to open up some light to some of the others. Before I grab the pruners though, I wanna show you this right here. I put this strawberry in just this year. You can see it's flowering and it would produce fruit. We don't want that. And it's advised, even in the books, that you pull off the first set of fruit or the first set of flowers from the strawberries. This way they'll focus all their growth on the roots, which is important. Then they'll start sending the runners out. The strawberries I put in the new food forest, they're already sending out runners. Soon we're gonna have double, triple the amount of strawberries we put in for free. Let me grab the pruners. I have them in my mailbox right here. Oftentimes someone asks in the comments why I have the mailbox in here. Now you get to see why. This is where I store a lot of my tools and stuff. Keep them dry, or if I just misplace them, because I usually do, easier to store them in here. Let's grab the pruners and get a little work done. If you know me, then you know I like to pack stuff in. But what that means is it could reduce light to some of my stuff. So I come out here regularly and cut one thing back to increase light to the others. For instance, down here, we've got this apple tree from seed. It's putting out a lot of these side shoots, and they're not gonna produce any fruit. It's just basically growth that I don't need. So I'm just gonna cut these back, which will give me more light to some of my mint, some of my yarrow, and some of my understory plants. Pruning is another one of those fundamentals that everyone should know. The better at pruning you are, the more chance you have of getting good fruit. Another fundamental to learn and to be wise about is pollination. You gotta have the right pollinators and know which trees need certain kind of pollinators to grow. Some are self-fertile, some aren't. Apple trees need specific apples or specific timing, fruit that flowers at the same time in order to get good fruit from it. So I got all this lower stuff pruned out, kind of like a lollipopping. You can see it's opened up some light, and we've got plenty of life in here. You can see right here a daddy longleg, a spider. Spiders are huge helps in the garden, and they're insectivores, they eat other insects. So we like to encourage, like I always talk about, as much life as possible. Tuck loves hanging out in here too and enjoying himself. You can see he thought he's found something in the yarrow, so he went through it and smashed a lot of it down. One of the fundamentals of gardening that is often overlooked is joy, is to have fun out here and enjoy yourself, and make sure that you imprint that childish excitement into the things you plant. Let's take a break though, as we've done a little work already, and grab some of the strawberries, be able to taste the fruits of our work, the fruits of our labor. And there's more strawberries than you could even think about eating. I love it in here. I wish I could bring you guys over to the food forest and share these strawberries with you. As we have fun, something I always forget to do is close the gate. You can see back there the chickens have already snuck in. From the time we started filming till now, they snuck in. So I'll take my little buddy over there with me, Tuck. We'll go herding for some chickens. Come on, Tucky. The thing about this is the chickens know where the food is at. They know that there is so much life, so many worms and so many bugs in here. So any chance they get, they're coming. They know the way out though. I've chased them out more times than I can count. And I probably showed you some of that. Over here in this section, you can see the mulberries from the tree above us have truly started dropping down. Things in here are doing pretty well. It doesn't get a lot of sunlight, and we've had a lot of rain lately. So some of the stuff is lacking a little light, but we're still getting decent production. You gotta love the kale, the dino kale, my favorite, getting good salads. Tomatoes are getting larger, which is good. A few sections here we have some weeds. This is the wild violet, so I'll make sure I dig those out. When I dig these wild violet out, it's so important to make sure that you get the base of that. This is a perennial. This isn't an annual. This will come up from the root, not from the seed. So you want to make sure you're digging out the root. You want to know your weeds. So most of the annuals are doing well in here, but the annuals in the new food forest are doing even better. I want to show you a few more things in this 7-year-old food forest and try to bring you guys along for that progression. You can see more zucchini coming up at the base of the trees. We love sticking them in the ground, digging a hole, digging into the wood chips and planting in the soil. We don't plant in wood chips, we plant in the soil. Again, that's what nature does. We look out at nature and we don't see nature planting in just wood chips or nature planting in just a thing of hay. It's always in the soil and mulched over top. One of the reasons I'm not a big proponent of hydroponics either, because that's almost opposite from nature. I just can't see the roots holding in water. You've got to have the soil, in my opinion, to hold the roots and to keep it sturdy, to keep that plant strong. Besides a number of other things, but that's not what this video is about. I wanted to show you just our daily maintenance and some of the other things. Look at that rhubarb. Oh my gosh, that thing is a beast. And the comfrey flowering. So this comfrey won't produce seed, which is nice. If I want to spread this around the other trees, I'll just divide the root and spread it like that. Tuck's running around. He thinks he finds something, or he thinks he's hot on a trail. Probably a squirrel up the fence. He makes me smile, I think, more than anything in the food forest. He's got a squirrel along the fence. That's one of the dangerous parts though, because this is when he runs along and can really rip things up. The apples on this tree, getting bit by the curculio, but man, they're beautiful looking apples. Had it not been for that curculio, we would have had epic harvest from this one. Really beautiful. And the peach tree above me, my favorite, doing excellent. Currants in the back, getting ready to set up. Let me take you into the new food forest though and show you how we transplant into that. During this time of year, this is when the majority of my transplanting gets done. A couple weeks ago and now, and whenever I basically have time. So in a new food forest, my most preferred way to grow is from transplanting. This way we can keep the wood chips really thick in a section, allow the fertility to build up, and overall I just like it best. I've got my 2 buckets here, my tools, and some of my things that I'm going to transplant in, so I'll bring you along for that. It may not look like much, but in here is actually loaded with plants. Annuals, perennials, all different stuff. Soon it's going to be tough to see the ground, kind of like the food forest. Let me show you some of the annuals that we put in earlier that are doing well, that are excelling along nicely. On my way to these annuals, I noticed we've got some more wild violet coming up and some other weeds coming around the base of these strawberries. You can see these are the strawberries that are already sending out the runners. Here's a runner here. And this will actually root into the ground. We'll move some wood chips, we'll allow that to root into the ground, grow another strawberry plant. That one's got runners too. So like I said, loads of strawberry plants soon. The peach tree that we put in the new food forest, looking great. Tomatoes, looking great. And these brassicas are really doing well over here. Getting full sunlight with good soil. The right circumstances are gonna give you the right results. I mean, it's obvious, but just like a computer, whatever you put in, you're gonna get out. Input and output. So you reap what you sow. You can say it 1,000 different ways if you want. But if you want to grow good food, you got to have good soil. You want to build good soil, in my opinion, it's going to take some time. You got to get the wood chips down. Got to get the mulch down. Got to bring the life in. Let them take care of it, or you're going to be doing all the work. So as you can see, this area is loaded with annuals, plenty of food. We've also got perennials, strawberries, trees, and everything. Along the fence line, we've got plenty of cucumbers. We're making pickles. I can't wait. Let me grab that stuff though, and we'll start to actually do the transplanting. There's always more space though, so I'm sure I can find a space in here that I can stick something. Show you guys how I do it. From the looks of it, I bet I can stick a tomato or a pepper right here. Let's get one in. What you'll notice here is I'm gonna dig down through the wood chips into the soil. Again, we plant into the soil. The wood chips are not a growing medium. The wood chips are simply a mulch, and they've got so many worms and so much life in it. You'll see as I start to go through here. Right when you get to the right moisture level, you'll start to see the life show up, the worms, and everything else. You'll notice I'm digging out a section here where it's a nice big circle, so the wood chips don't fall in and crush my plant. And we've got some Japanese beetle larvae. The chickens love this. I'll put this off to the side. It's one of their favorites. Soil here is pretty good because I've had some black leaf mulch down in the past. What I like to do is go through, dig with this rake to make sure we don't have any weeds or any roots, because we're pretty close to an old tree. As you can see, we've got a root here. We'll just tear that out. Make sure the soil is nice and soft. Pretty good stuff because we were underneath an old Bradford pear tree, so just years and years of all those leaves, deciduous leaves falling down and breaking down after a long time. So this is a great section. Let's get some of those peppers in. So I'm gonna take out some of this native soil, put it off in the bucket for a minute. I've got a paradisium pepper, started this baby from seed on the 16th of April. And usually I put some mycos down, you guys have seen that, but I don't have any today. So we'll just put this down, some of the native soil around it, a layer of this black leaf mulch, which I've showed you in previous videos. We get this locally for free, just like the wood chips. And then bring some more native soil around it. As you can see, we loosened up the soil around it. We made sure there weren't any weeds or any real competition for it. We don't want a lot of competition for a young annual like this. A little more black leaf mulch, and it's starting to rain here, so we'll still actually water it in just a little bit. When we water it in, some of the sand will sink and kind of fill in the gaps, then we'll put a little more black leaf mulch on top. So we'll water the dog and then we'll water the plant. And like I said, this will allow all the different sized particles of the soil to settle in. We don't want any gaps at the base of it. Roots, they need oxygen to breathe, but you don't want to have too much of a gap. That'll actually kill the plant. Even the sticks in the garden end up being a fun time. We love just hanging out here and enjoying ourselves, no matter the weather. It's starting to rain a little bit, but it's nice and cool. A great day to get some work done. All right, that's all been absorbed basically. We'll get one more covering of black leaf mulch. Spit around the outside. This will be like fertilizer almost. Every time it rains, it'll bring that in, and then we'll bring the wood chips around the base, not too close. We don't want it cracking the stem or anything. Beautiful. I'm not just transplanting in here though. There are sections where I've direct seeded. You can see back here, we've got a number of different beans coming up along the back. In front of that, we've got some squash, and we've got zucchini and more beans in the front there. Starting a food forest, gardening, all this stuff, it's actually pretty simple, but it's not easy. That's what I want you to think about. It's simple, but it's not easy. And none of this stuff, it's not rocket science. You can do it, but it takes some consistency, some persistence, and just that continued effort. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. One thing I want you to know is nothing I'm doing here is special. You can do the exact same thing. I'm busy. I work 40 hours a week. I've got a full-time job. But when you create a system like this that helps support you and you're not a slave to it, it's a great, enjoyable experience. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share with your friends. One thing that we ask you, if you really want to help support the channel, hit that notification bell or even set an alert on your phone to let you know when we're uploading. So if you enjoyed it, well, there'll be more coming soon. Don't forget to check us out on Steemit too. We love posting on there. James Prigioni, peace out.